amazing.
All right, hey y'all.
Hey.
I'm Amelia Earhart. So we're going to start by reading a book about Amelia Earhart. All right. So Amelia Earhart, More Than a Flyer. Chapter 1, Independent Amelia. Amelia Earhart is America's most famous female pilot. When she was a little girl, the only thing flying high in the sky were birds. Airplanes hadn't been invented yet, but she dreamed of flying in this poem she wrote. I watch the birds flying all day long, and I want to fly too. So when she was born in 1897, there were not planes. Planes did not exist yet.
Until 1903.
Amelia was born in Atkinson, Kansas on July 24th, 1897. Remember that? July 24th, 1897. When Amelia was growing up, girls did not play sports, wear pants, or wear their hair short, or play. Girls were expected to get married, have children, and stay at home. So girls had to wear dresses. They weren't allowed to wear pants back then. But Amelia didn't like to wear dresses. She wanted to wear pants. But Amelia did not want to follow the rules. She was an independent girl who loved adventure and excitement. She wanted the same opportunities that were automatically given to boys. The Earhart family encouraged both Amelia and her young sister, Muriel, to pursue their interests. She's wearing pants. People didn't think that was really a good idea back then. Amelia and Muriel lived most of the year with their grandparents. Amelia and Alfred Otis in Atchison. Mr. Earhart struggled to make a living. He worked for the railroad, and he and Miss Earhart had to travel a lot. But Mr. and Miss Earhart lived in nearby Kansas City and often visited. They spent summers, family birthdays, and holidays together. One Christmas, 7-year-old Amelia received a boy's sled. A girl's sled was simply a chair on wooden runners. Though this long boy's wooden sled had metal runners, and that meant that Amelia could get a running start and then belly flop onto the sled. Now she could build up speed and zoom down the hill head first. So back then, do they have boys and girls sleds now?
No.
No, they just have sleds for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. One winter day, as she whizzed down an icy hill, a horse-drawn cart appeared. It was about to cross her path. The horse couldn't see Amelia because of its blinders. The cart driver couldn't hear her screams. Amelia couldn't steer well on the ice. But she could think fast. She lowered her head and aimed her sled between the horse's legs. She made it. The boy's sled saved her life. But if she had used a girl's sled and had been sitting upright, she would have crashed into that horse's belly.
How would you crash it?
Because on the boy's sled, you lay down, so she slid right under the horse's legs. But on the girl's sled, you sit up, so her head would have bashed into the horse's stomach. If she would have been on the girl's sled. So it's a good thing she got a boy's sled. Mm-hmm. Amelia loved sports as well, but her school, like most in those days, had no teams for girls. Amelia saw neighborhood boys play basketball. She asked one boy to teach her the game. Soon, she had Muriel and their cousins playing their own backyard basketball game. When Amelia played sports or searched for insects, she was allowed to wear a new kind of short pant called bloomers. With those, Amelia jumped and ran freely. So those little short pants she has on, they're kind of baggy. They're called bloomers. Chapter 2, Hard Times. When she was around 10 years old, Amelia had to leave her grandparents, her cousins, and Kansas behind. Her father had found a new job with another railroad company. The Earhart family boarded the train and headed for Des Moines, Iowa. Later, Amelia and her family moved many more times. The Earharts moved a lot because Mr. Earhart began drinking and losing jobs. When Amelia was 18, the family moved to Chicago, and this time they went without Mr. Earhart. There, Amelia's school had girls' sports teams, but she never joined because she had always had to help out at home. But Amelia always put on a cheerful face. Even her best friends knew about her father's drinking and her family's poverty. Poverty means poor.
What drinking?
He used alcohol like a lot and stayed drunk a lot. So they moved away from him so that they weren't bothered by him. After graduating from high school in 1916, Amelia went off by herself to a school in Philadelphia. There she began a scrapbook, which she labeled Women's Achievement. Newspaper articles, each one reported on women who had achieved first. There are articles about the first women to hold certain positions, such as the president of a bank, the police commissioner, and a city manager. Amelia was becoming more aware of how women can make important contributions to the world. She really wants women to be as important as men, because back then, women were not very important and men were very important, so she wanted to be equal. Two events happened in Amelia's life that allowed her to finally achieve first on her own. Have you heard of the Wright brothers? They were the first people to fly. Do you know where they flew first at?
Yes, North Carolina.
In North Carolina.
Hey, but why did you go to? I see a picture of Wheatmore before and that good.
Yes, she did actually. The second event was World War I. It started in Europe in 1914. Airplanes had improved by that time and were used in this war. Men were trained to pilot these planes. By 1917, the United States entered the war. Wounded pilots and soldiers came home to recover. That Christmas, Amelia visited Muriel, who was at school in Toronto, Canada. Amelia decided to leave school and stay in Toronto to help the many wounded soldiers. Amelia became a nurse's aide. Some of the men who she cared for were pilots. So she moved to Toronto with her sister, where her sister lived, and she became a nurse's aide. That was basically like a nurse's helper. And she helped people who were coming home from the war and who were hurt.
After in the war, girls were in so she was a nurse, but when we had the Civil War, it was the first time when girls could be nurses, but boys were only.
Yep. One day, Amelia and her girlfriend went to an airfield to see these pilots fly. One pilot did the usual loops and rolls and spins that pilots did in those days. But then he aimed his plane low. He buzzed the two young women as they stood watching. Amelia's friend ran for cover, but not Amelia. She was really excited. She loved the planes. She wasn't scared of them like her friend was. She said of that day, "I remember the mingled fear and pleasure. I did not understand it at the time, but I believe that little red airplane said something to me as it swished by." Amelia would have to wait several years to find out just what that plane was saying. Chapter 3, In the Air. By the summer of 1920, Amelia went to live with her parents, who were now back together and living in California. California had a popular weekend activity, air shows. Amelia and her father often watched the former World War I pilots take those planes up into the sky and do their rolls, loops, and spins. She lives in California now, and she goes to air shows on the weekends with her father. One day, Amelia's father brought her a ticket for a ride. 23-year-old Amelia had her first plane trip, a 10-minute ride over Los Angeles. Amelia couldn't hold back her excitement. She knew she had to fly. Amelia wanted to take her lessons from a woman pilot. Her teacher, Anita Snook, taught Amelia about engineer repair as well as flying. After many lessons, Amelia finally flew by herself. She was a pilot. Now, Amelia wanted to fly all the time, but this sport costed a lot of money. Not as expensive as it is now, but it still was really expensive back then. Amelia took a wide variety of jobs, a file clerk, a photographer, a truck driver, just to pay for the flying time. For her birthday present, the Earharts helped Amelia buy her first plane. It was yellow, and Amelia named it Canary. Plane that's yellow and named it Canary.
Is this the canary?
Yes, that is the Canary.
This is the canary.
That is the Canary. In 1924, Amelia's parents were finally divorcing. Her mother decided to move to Medford, Massachusetts, where Muriel now lived. Remember, Muriel's her little sister. As usual, money was still tight. Amelia sold her plane to buy a car. She needed one to drive herself and her mother across the country. Amelia bought a sports car and named it Yellow Peril. In Medford, Massachusetts, Amelia got a job at Denison House as a social center in Boston. She taught English to immigrant children who loved piling into the Yellow Peril for a ride around the block. Soon, Amelia became a social worker at Denison House. For the first time, 27-year-old Amelia found work that she loved. So she traded in her yellow Canary for a yellow sports car. She moved to Boston or to
Wait till she got money back and then she wasted money.
Yep, but she had to have a car so she could drive across the country with her mom. She could go live with her sister. On the weekends, Amelia rented planes and was in the air, and airplanes and pilots were in the news more and more. In 1927, Charles Lindbergh was the first person to successfully fly across the Atlantic Ocean. Many other pilots wanted the same kind of attention. They wanted to perform a flying first. One such person was Miss Frederick Guest, a rich adventurer. She decided to sponsor a plane trip on that one that would carry the first female passenger across the Atlantic Ocean. She asked her friend George Putnam to find an American woman pilot to be that passenger. So she wants a woman that they can fly across the Atlantic, be the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. Yes, sir.
Dressed up.
What?
In that picture, that's what you're dressed up.
It does. It looks like me, doesn't it? I didn't even notice that.
Well, I do dress up like you.
That's what we have to do. For sure. Chapter 4, Amelia's First. When Putnam and Amelia met, he knew she was the perfect choice. Amelia was bright and had a style all of her own. Her hair was short, she wore pants and a brown leather jacket and tied a silken scarf around her neck. Putnam had an easy time getting the press to write about this beautiful lady pilot. Wilmer Stoltz and Lewis Gordon were chosen to fly the plane. Amelia was to make the flying decisions. Mrs. Guest's plane was named Friendship. It had pontoons so that it could land on water. The Friendship took off from East Boston Harbor on Sunday, June 3rd, 1928. The crew stopped often to refuel. In Newfoundland, they were grounded by bad weather and heavy fog. See, the plane can land on the water. It has
Yeah, it's like little boats.
like a boat plane. Finally, 14 days after starting out, the weather was good, but bad out at sea. Stoltz, Gordon, and Earhart decided to take off anyway. The wide Atlantic stretched before them. Soon after takeoff, the storm closed in. The captain couldn't fly above the high storm clouds. Snow fell below them. Fog surrounded them. It was a grueling journey. After more than 20 hours in the air, they spotted the coast below. The Friendship landed in Buryport, Wales. They had made it, and Amelia had become her very own first, the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. Yes.
That's what I wanted about in the books I have.
Really?
It's not about her, but it's about the Atlantic Ocean. But they told me that, and it's talking about something different. Wait, this is a picture we've already saw.
All right, we'll talk about spots in a minute. Crowds in Europe cheered them on. They sailed back to New York and got a ticker tape parade. Amelia wrote articles and books about her adventure. Amelia wanted to go back to school, back to social work, but flying and giving speeches about her experiences took up much of her time. Amelia also wanted to do exactly what Lindenberg had done, fly solo. You know what solo means?
Yeah. Oh, myself.
By yourself, yeah. Fly solo across the Atlantic. She studied maps and charts to prepare for the trip. Amelia left Newfoundland on May 20th, 1932. 4 hours from land, Amelia was in real trouble. It was dark, she was flying in a storm, and her equipment was failing. She couldn't tell how high she was flying. The reserve gas tank leaked and gas dripped down her neck. She's out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Her machine's failing. Gas is dripping. She's almost out of gas. She's in trouble. The electric storm tossed her plane. Amelia tried to climb above the storm, but ice formed on her wings. It was cold, too. For a time, her plane spun out of control. She tried lowering her plane. The ice on the wings melted. Yes, but now she was about to hit the sea's swelling waves. No! Throughout the whole flight, Amelia battled the storm. Finally, Amelia saw land, but she didn't know how much fuel she had left. She picked the nearest spot that gave her the safest landing. It was a cow pasture. After she landed, Amelia asked the man standing there, "Where am I?" He told her she was near Londonderry, Ireland. He couldn't believe. Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Well, no, Londonderry Island, which is in Ireland, not in London.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't believe she'd come all the way from America. So she landed in a cow pasture. That's like somebody landing out here in our cow pasture. We're not goat pasture.
We have a cow pasture behind our house.
That's how we used to ride your 4-wheelers. We were we saw the pound of a tree.
So that'd be crazy if just a random plane landed in your field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amelia phoned Putnam, whom she had married in 1931. Within hours, the world got news that Amelia Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. Amelia had achieved the first she had longed for. Chapter 5, The Final Flight. Now, Amelia was known all over the world. She was President Coolidge, then President Hoover. She became a close friend of President Roosevelt and his wife, Eleanor. But above all, Amelia kept accomplishing her own first. Oh, sorry, I forgot to show you a picture. This is her, I think, when she returned home from her flight across the Atlantic. She had
she got back home?
I don't know. She may have flown or she may have, I don't know.
Home.
How did she get back home? She helped create the first women's flying club and became its first president. It was called the 99s because it had 99 founding members. Beside other flying first, Amelia also had luggage named after her and designed a line of women's clothing. When Amelia was almost 40 years old, she decided to fly around the world. She selected her plane and her navigator, Fred Noonan. Amelia studied maps and charts and planned her route. The plane was fitted with a new tool and radio that transmitted and received signals. So now her radio, she can talk back and forth to people on land from her plane. Amelia and Fred left on June 1st, 1937 from Miami, Florida. They headed east. At each stop, she was in contact with her husband. Amelia and Fred were greeted warmly at each place they stopped along the way. So they started their trip around the world.
Wait, so they go all around the world?
Yep, they're going all around the world. On July 2nd, Amelia and Fred took off from New Guinea. She was due to land on Howland Island in the Pacific Ocean, but her radio was not working well. The ground crew lost contact. There was no sign that her plane ever landed on the island. There was no sign that the plane crashed into the ocean. There was no trace of Amelia, Fred, or the airplane. Amelia Earhart was gone. Amelia Earhart's disappearance was a mystery. Some people believe she simply ran out of fuel. So she ran out of fuel flying over the ocean. Where'd she go?
Into the ocean.
Into the ocean, right. Others believe she was a spy for the United States and was captured. No one really knows what happened to her. So this was kind of a map of the trail she was taking. And she left here from New Guinea, and she was supposed to land on this little bitty tiny island. And she stopped. Disappeared somewhere else. This is the white is all the ocean.
Okay. So if they watch, if the radio, not the airplane actually took like when that stuck there. If the radio started working bad, it probably failed, and she probably just landed on that island, and she was low on gas, so she just stayed there.
Maybe. Amelia Earhart is one of the most famous aviators in the world, and she was an unsung feminist during her life. Amelia Earhart never felt that she should or could not do something, simply because she was a woman, and with her fame, she inspired young girls to dream. Amelia Earhart said it best: to enjoy doing something, to concentrate all of your energy on it, that is not only the surest guarantee of success, it is only being true to yourself. So that's a cool picture of her. It looks like she's kind of like in the clouds.
Yeah, but she's in the water.
Yeah, well, maybe. We don't know. Nobody knows where she is. Yeah. So, now, first of all, I have a few little questions about the book. So I hope you're listening. You don't have to write it. You just have to answer them. All right, raise your hand if you know. What evidence, you may need to use the book. What evidence can you find from the book that shows Amelia's passion for flying? Or can you remember? What says it?
Always when she was little, but she sat down and watched the birds, and she always wanted to fly.
Right, she watched the birds.
I forgot.
What does passion mean?
What she really wanted to do it. She was really strong about it.
Like how it made her?
Yeah, kind of like what it makes her.
She wanted to do it because she wanted to see how the sky was like.
She wanted to see like the birds, right? It said she made like a poem how the birds were. You're right, very good. All right, there are many theories as to what happened to Amelia and her Earhart, and her navigator, Fred Noonan. Some say she ran out of gas and the plane went down in the water. Others say she was captured and killed after landing on Howland Island. Can you think of another way or something that might have happened to Amelia?
She was low on gas, so she landed that. So she was low on gas, so she was racing that. Oh, that was a storm ahead, and she just and her baby was waking up, so she couldn't say.
Do you think maybe she landed on the island and just stayed on the island? Maybe they never found her on the island? Maybe. Jonas, what do you think?
Maybe she was not paying attention and she landed in the water and crashed the plane.
Yeah, that's what they think happened.
I think when she ran out of gas, the gas was thinking on her. Like when you run out of gas in a plane, the other time except she was running out of gas, the gas was driven on her. I think
You know what? If the gas was leaking, what could it have caused the plane to do to
catch on fire.
and to blow up, right?
Or got on her and lava got on her. She couldn't wash of it, and then she got sick and died. Or something.
I don't know. She might have just went on the island and stayed because she ran out of the radio. So
There was no way to contact,
so
right?
she had flown back and something happened. She couldn't contact them, so she might have just said that island, and that island had no clue that that was her. Because it was on the other side of the world.
I think.
All right, next question. Put yourself in Amelia's shoes. So pretend you're Amelia. When Amelia first flew across the Atlantic Ocean in the friendship plane, they had many issues with weather and issues with being able to see ahead of them. You know, they had to land. The book called it a grueling journey. If you were Amelia, would you want to go right back out and fly again? Or would you be afraid of trying to fly again after the bad experience you had on your last flying journey? Why or why not?
I would like to because I would like to try it again because it didn't go so good the first time. And
You want to make it better?
Yeah.
Jonathan?
I agree with that.
Huh?
I agree with
You agree with Charlotte? What do you think, Izzy?
Yes.
Would you want to go again, or would you be afraid to fly again if you had a really bad a lot of issues when you were flying? If you had would you want to fly again, or would you be scared to fly again? Be scared? All right.
I think.
I would say I would not because you might go down and get hurt really bad that you
That's right.
can't fly a plane.
The next time you might actually end up getting hurt worse, right? Yes.
I think because when her first flight, you guys were dripping on her. I think don't do that again because the long journey was so long. That's how I'm saying.
Yeah, the gas could literally kill you.
Smelling it, you gotta read that. Right. All right, based on what you learned from the story, what can you conclude about Amelia's childhood? So what do you think? Do you think Amelia had a good childhood or a bad childhood, or what do you think?
It was okay because she knew she was gonna be able to try and do her dream, and she
Knew she was gonna.
and she didn't want to follow the rules because she wanted to do what she wanted to do. That's what I'm going to say.
What do you think, Izzy?
I think.
Do you think that she had a good childhood?
I think she had a bad childhood because sometimes your planes when you get them they don't leave you very much gas, and then they don't
Like she never flew a plane when she was a child. She didn't do that until she was older.
because you have to have a license to drive the big vehicles, and she can't have it if she doesn't even have to license.
All right. Suppose Amelia and her navigator Fred finished their trip. And you can answer this one. Suppose that they finished their trip around the world and made it back safely to California, where they started. What do you think life would have been like for Amelia? Would she have became more famous for her extravagant adventure? Do you think she would continue to fly? Hold on, Carter wants to answer since he didn't get next lesson. So if she had made the trip instead of crashing or whatever happened to her, and she would have made it back, do you think her life would have been great? Like, what do you think her life would have been like?
Great.
You think?
Because she was really close, and I think it'll be like both at the end of her life, and that happened because flying a long trip, it's really hard. So that's why you need two pilots. When there's not a lot of gas, you can't just drive. You go get the gas from somebody else. That's why there's a co-pilot.
Charlotte, do you think that she would ever fly again when she got back?
Probably not, because that would have been a long trip and she would have been starting to get older and she wouldn't be able to fly again. So she probably wouldn't have, but she would have liked to, but she just couldn't because she, who knows what happened when she flew back.
Yeah. Okay, real quick.
Y'all is taking my brain.
There is a timeline in the back of the book, and you can see down here in a minute, we are going to make our own timeline. But I want to show you real quick. I want to read this to you. It's real simple. So, 1897, Amelia was born in Atkinson, Kansas on July 24th. 1899, her sister Muriel is born on December 29th. 1918, Amelia becomes a nurse aide in Toronto, Canada. 1920, she takes her first plane ride. 1921 to 1922, she takes her first flying lesson, buys her first plane, and gets her pilot's license. In 1926, she becomes a social worker at the Denson House in Boston. In 1928, she becomes the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. The trip takes 20 hours and 40 minutes. In 1928, President Calvin Coolidge honors Earhart, Stoltz, and Gordon at the White House. 1929, she helps Women's Pilot Club. She helped start the Women's Pilot Club, the 99s. In 1930, she set women's speed record, 181 miles per hour in 18 seconds. 181.18 miles per hour. So now, do you know how fast airplanes travel now?
How fast?
Like 500, 400, 500, 600 miles per hour. And she set the speed record at 181. So it was a long time ago. In 1931, she married George Putnam. In 1932, she was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. The trip takes 14 hours and 54 minutes. 1932, President Herbert Hoover presents her with the National Geographic Society Gold Medal. First person to fly solo across from Honolulu, Hawaii to Oakland, California in 1935. And in 1937, she attempts to fly around the world with Fred Noonan. And then her plane disappeared. And on July 16th, 1937, Amelia Earhart was officially declared dead because they never could, they couldn't find her.
No,
Right.
but then they find her?
No, they still haven't found her. Even today, they never have found her. All right.
Yeah.
So, this is my history in a box. Oh, back up. Everyone in your bottoms. Can't see what's in
Why
there.
do you have fun ball in there?
I'm going to tell you. All right, so history in a box. Let's see. The front, it has her name. This is a picture of her as a baby. And this is a picture of her as a grown-up with one of her planes.
That she's not a baby, that she's like 4.
Well, yeah. This is the canary.
And that's basketball because she wanted to play it.
Because she likes to play basketball. And then, this I didn't tell you about. This is a roller coaster. Amelia went to a fair in St. Louis when she was young. Her and her parents and her little sister. So she fell in love with roller coasters. When she came home, her sister, her uncle, and her friend built their own homemade roller coaster. And I'm going to teach you more about that later. And then this is another plane that she flew. I think she flew this one across the Atlantic. Okay? And then the back it just says Pioneer of the Sky, because that's what people call her, was Pioneer of the Sky. Okay, so
How can they
first thing, I have artifacts that I get to pass around to you. I want you to tell me, what does this have to do with Amelia Earhart?
Because she loved to play basketball.
Oh,
You
of
guys play basketball.
course.
You can pass that around.
Hey, this is all about from Chuck E. Cheese. This Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep. So she liked to play basketball, so that's one fact about Amelia Earhart. What is this?
Oh, pirate hat from a long time.
A pirate hat?
A pilot.
Not a pilot hat.
Nose hat.
A nurse's hat because she was a nurse's aide in Canada, right? Who did she take care of?
Soldiers.
Soldiers. Very good.
Or
All right.
Who got hurt?
Or people in the military.
All right, I'm going to keep going. What is this?
A plane.
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 This is what she flew across the Atlantic. You want to pass that one around? When she flew solo, I think it goes
It
like
can't spin that much.
Yeah, it goes like this.
Okay.
Can you see?
That's the old airplane. The wings that's the old wing.
It's the map of where she flew.
Map of where she flew.
And that's where she landed.
Now this is kind of confusing. What I did, Miss Lacey drew this, so you can't remember it all again. She started over here in California. She flew down to Florida first, then down to South America to Brazil, and then she went across the water. Now this is what she did. Pretend she went behind all water. This is all water back here. She flew across and then back into West Africa. Then she flew to Ethiopia. Then she flew into Pakistan. Then to Thailand. Then to New Guinea, which is where she took off from before she disappeared. And she was headed here to Howland Island, which is where she was supposed to stop. But she landed out here somewhere in the
What does that say?
Where? Right here?
Well, her
Amelia
radio
disappears
wasn't working.
over Pacific Ocean.
So say
Her radio is
her radio just stopped working. And so she.
Okay, I'm gonna pass it around.
So it's the Pacific Ocean somewhere down there, and then
This is the Pacific Ocean right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Atlantic Ocean's over here. This is the Pacific Ocean.
She
I know that Thailand is
You can pass it around and
a
look
lot
at
of
it.
people in other countries. A lot of people in Asia, they don't have a lot of money and they don't have a lot.
Now listen. When she was supposed to land on Howland Island is so small. It's only 2 miles long and 1 mile wide. So that's really hard for her to land a plane on, anyways, right?
So how long is a plane around here?
I don't know how long her plane
It's
was.
somewhat 2 miles wide.
All right, next one. What is this?
A box. A toolbox.
A box.
What did it say she started making? What did she end up creating? Her
store-
own
Like dress stuff.
her own dresses and her own. This is actually a suitcase.
Like she
And
came
it has a lock on it.
It does. This is kind of a funny looking suitcase, right?
Yeah.
Is that what your suitcase
Can we
looks like?
open it?
You can open it, but there's nothing in it.
Oh, come
There's
on.
nothing in it. But this is what her suitcases that she created actually look like. Not exactly, but they look something like that.
Let it go back. They're like girls' suitcases.
They were girls and boys. This suitcase was actually my grandpa's. This is a very, very old suitcase. But this is what she made. She made suitcases like these.
Wait, is your grandpa?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey,
All right. Now, I have one extra artifact that I wasn't planning on doing, but I figured this would be a cool artifact. Now, you have to be careful with this. What is this? What does this make you think of?
Water and sand.
Because what did she do?
Fly over the ocean.
She flew over the ocean, and she might possibly be at the bottom of the ocean, right? The Pacific Ocean. She could still be there, right?
Yeah,
She would be living-
Oh,
she would be
do we
living
gotta
there.
make
She would be
it? Do we
living
gotta
there.
make it? Do we gotta make one?
No, you don't get to make one. I've already made it. We're gonna do something else from it.
Can we timeline?
Oh, careful! Don't bust it. You bust it, water's gonna get everywhere.
What is that? Is that really water?
It's really water. Yeah.
It's sand with water with oil.
Is that like the kind of
Is it like a Pacific water? No, don't do that. It's like a Pacific water.
It's like the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
Pacific Ocean is
It's not
clear
really
water.
the Pacific Ocean.
Hey, but did she? What is her? Have you
Very
ever been
calm
alive by the
and Miss
water
Amelia.
before?
What?
Charlotte's Amelia. Who?
Amelia!
Who's Izzy?
Yep.
Who's Izzy?
Let me see it.
Izzy.
All right, everybody on their bottom. If we can do a good job with this, I have a prize for all of you. But you gotta sit down on your bottom and you gotta do the right thing.
Oh, we got share.
That
was
was
so
cool.
cool. I know. Please.
All right, I'm gonna set it right here. I'm gonna set everything over here. And if you
Yay.
want to later, you can come and look at everything, okay?
Yay.
All right. It's not your prize, is it, Candy? Okay. Now we have a skit that we're gonna do.
Skit.
We are gonna pretend like a little play. We are gonna be Amelia Earhart,
I'm Amelia Earhart.
and we are gonna build We're gonna pretend to build that roller coaster she built. Okay. So
Amelia Earhart.
let's see. Carter is gonna be our narrator.
What is that?
He's the one that tells the story.
Oh.
Charlotte is gonna be
Amelia Earhart.
Muriel is the little sister of Amelia. She's gonna be Izzy.
Yeah, that's
cool.
my sister. Is this I'm the narrator?
Colin is gonna be Uncle Nicey.
Why is that Colin's name but with an M?
And Jonas is going to be the friend James. Okay, now we all have to get up. So push your chairs under and come over here.
Yes. Am I?
I only have 3 cards.
Charlotte's actually my sister.
Okay. Now, notice it says, let's see. If you look by Amelia's first line, it says picks up phone. So you have to pick up the phone because you're going to be calling Uncle Nicey.
Oh, that's my phone.
This is your phone right here.
Can she use a jacket?
Because you have to think, because a long time, come over here if you're going to stand.
Yeah, because a long time ago.
Yeah, they had old phones, right? All right, so let's just practice one time reading it. All right, narrator, start us out. Follow along so you know where your part is.
Amelia and her little sister, Muriel,
Muriel.
have just gotten back from the state of
St. Louis.
St. Louis Fair. Well, they were, where they saw a big roller coaster. This roller coaster gave
Yeah.
Amelia an idea. She decided to build a roller coaster
Of their own.
of their own, with the help of some of her family and a friend. This story
Here, y'all can sit down on the floor.
Amelia and her
This is the
homemade
story.
roller coaster.
All right, very good. All right, Amelia, your turn.
Mario, let's call Uncle
Nicey.
Nancy and James over to our house and see if they will help us build our roller coaster.
All right, so she wants to call
The
Uncle Nicey.
ones we saw at the vet.
Good.
Yay! That's a great idea.
All right, Amelia picks up the phone.
Hey, Uncle Nancy, could you come over and help us build a roller coaster? Of course,
Pick up your phone, Uncle Nicey.
Of course, I would love to. Thanks, of course.
All right, go ahead, Amelia.
Hi, James.
Oh, no, back up. Okay, great.
Noel and I were wondering if you.
Right here.
Oh,
Okay, good.
okay.
This one.
Okay. Great. I'm going to call James and ask for his help too. Okay, Amelia.
Yeah, he does have a phone.
But just
You're right. Go ahead. I'll be right over.
okay, Amelia. I'll be right over. Hi, James. Noel. I were wondering if you could come over and help us build our own roller coaster. Jonah.
James,
James.
hold the phone.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Wow. Yeah. That sounds like fun. You go again. Okay. Thank you. See you soon.
All right, turn the page. Narrator.
Uncle Nicey and James come over, and the four of them began working on the roller coaster.
All right,
Amelia, Muriel,
Hold on. Amelia, Muriel, Uncle Nicey, and James. Pretend like you're building a roller coaster. Put it all together.
Amelia,
There you go. Now, they.
they made it out of wood and ran the tracks from top of the shed. They also made a small buggy that they used to ride their roller coaster. Let's see who rides roller coaster first. Hey, Uncle Nicey, I think we should.
Oh, hold on. That's Muriel.
Oh.
Muriel. Hey, Uncle Nicey.
No, you have to talk to Uncle Nicey.
Right here.
Yes.
His name's Nicey. He's nice. Hey, Uncle Nicey. I think we should put some.
This is Muriel. Should. Read it out, please.
Grease
On
on the
tracks.
So that
The buggy
the buggy
will go faster.
will go fast.
Oh, Muriel wants to put grease on the track so the buggy will go
pretend
faster.
that you, Uncle Nicey and her are putting grease.
All right, so Uncle Nicey and Muriel put grease on the tracks.
That's you.
What do you say, Uncle Nicey?
No, he's James.
Uncle Nicey, what do you say? That's.
Jonas.
No, you're not on the phone.
That's a good
idea, Mario. I will do that. Pretend
to put the grease on the tracks. All right, friend James.
Okay, I think the roller coaster is ready. Who wants to ride first? You have to grab my feet.
Not yet.
Me. I will. I'm the bravest kid on the block. Mario, will you please hold my feet while I get on the buggy and let them go when I say Go.
All right, Charlotte, turn around, like on your belly.
On your belly.
And all right, Muriel, hold her feet. Muriel say, okay, Amelia, are you ready?
Okay, Amelia, are you ready? Yes, go.
All right, let them go. Woo! All right. Go ahead, narrator.
What? Amelia flew to the bottom of the track and crashed. She was not hurt, but she was ready to ride again. She loved it. Uncle Lacey and James decided it would be best to make the track a little less steep. Once they fixed the track, all four of them enjoyed their homemade roller coaster.
All right, all four of you pretend to ride the roller coaster.
Yay!
All right, good job.
Let us put our hands up.
Okay, hand me your papers back. Good job, guys.
Yay!
All right. Back to your seats real quick. I need to explain our hands-on activity that we're
Now
going to do. I know, I'm going to get back to you. And then I'll let you get started on your hands-on activity. Oh, go back to your
have to sit in the same seat.
Go back to your regular
Who
seat.
called it my seat?
Okay.
No, Izzy, that's my seat.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. We are going to make our timeline of
That's
Amelia's
your
life.
mundo.
But listen, here's the tricky part.
Oh.
I have cards with different events from Amelia's life. You guys have to figure out what order they go in and tape them or glue them to our timeline. So you have to work together as a team and put them in the right.
If we get them wrong, we go really bad looking.
Okay, we're not going to glue them until I check them, okay? All right, so I'm going to lay them all out.
Lay them on out.
Lay them on out, Pete. You guys can go ahead and come down here.
Finally, I can take a I'm Godzilla. Did you watch this? I'm Godzilla.
So you gotta work together.
Charlotte, and see if you can figure out which one
Mike goes first.
Oh, this does not look easy.
It will be easy, I promise.
I'm Godzilla.
Come read it out to us.
Read it out to us. Amelia becomes a social worker at Donation House in Boston.
Alright, is that the first thing that happened in her life?
No.
No. So that would be the first one. No. Look at all of you look together and see if you find one that might be first.
Amelia
You can read.
the first woman to fly across the Atlantic to take 20 hours and 40 minutes. I know. Amelia was born in Tucson, Kansas.
Is that the first thing that
Yeah,
happened?
that would be the first.
Very good. In 1897. Very good.
Yeah, that made more sense because if she wasn't born first, what?
Alright. Then what?
Amelia helped start women's pilot clubs in the 1990s. In the 99.
Pick up a card and see what you think.
Amelia, formed by President Colin. Maybe it's White House. Amelia's sister Moya was born.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes. Good job.
That is. That's me.
1899.
Because if you were born, then I was born. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because we were born, but not at that time. Amelia takes her first plane ride.
Okay, you think that one's next?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Amelia takes her first flying lesson.
When she moved to Boston, what did she do with her what did she do? Not to Boston, sorry, to Canada. What did she do? She became
A nurse.
Nurse. West nurse. Amelia becomes the first woman to fly solo. I'm guessing this one's to fly solo.
What is
it? Amelia becomes a social worker at Denison
No,
House.
she was a social worker. Yeah, what did she do first? We had the nurse's cap. Colin, you've got a few under you, buddy.
No, I can't find it. I know. I got it. Amelia helped start women's pillow. No.
Amelia becomes the first person to fly solo. No, that's not it.
Amelia becomes a nurse's aide in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I found it.
Amelia becomes a nurse aide in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, that was in 1918. Very good. All right, what next?
Oh, wait, where's that one? Amelia becomes a social worker at Denison House in Boston.
Not yet. That was not until 1926.
Nice.
We're still in the 1920. What happened in 1920?
I know she takes it first.
Amelia attempts to fly around the world with Fred Norman after
Amelia takes it first flying lesson.
Very good.
Amelia.
Oh wait, no, not her first flying lesson. Her first what?
What is fly down the
Ride. She took her first ride in an airplane.
ride.
I think Carter, your knees on a few of them, buddy.
Yeah.
She took her first ride.
Amelia takes her first plane ride.
Very good. All right, that was in 1920. And then what did she do? What was the next one?
She
One of you had it. She took her first. After she rode in the plane, she realized
she
really
takes
liked
her
it.
first flying lesson.
She
Very
takes her
good.
first flying lesson.
I found it first.
Carter's got it. She took her first flying lesson.
And
1921. Then what?
She helps the women
Amelia
pilots club at night.
becomes the first person to fly solo.
She can't fly. She doesn't have a plane.
yeah, she can.
Somebody buys her a plane.
This one.
What does it say?
Amelia built her first plane called the Quilly.
Not builds it, but
Buys
buys
it.
it. And what was that yellow plane called?
Canary.
The Canary. Good. 1921, July 24th, she got her first plane called the Canary. Then what did she do? In order to fly that plane, what's she gotta have?
Amelia helped start the.
Nope. In order to fly that plane, what's she gotta have? Before you can drive a car or before you can drive a plane, you gotta have a license.
We do lessons.
Try to her.
My license is not even in the camera. That's
Amelia gets her pilot license.
All right, there you go. Did you hear that? Amelia gets her first gets her pilot's license. 1921 or 15.
1926.
All right, what happens in 1926?
Is this the next
She
thing?
gets stuff.
Oh, I don't mess them up.
Oh, sorry. Amelia becomes a social worker at Denison
Very
House
good,
in Boston.
Carter. Very good. Here, I'll let you take it on.
That's 19.
In 1926.
You know, let me take
Okay, I'll let you take on the next one.
Okay, I got it. Amelia becomes the first person to fly solo across the Hawaii to take Oakland.
No, not that one, but she does become the first person to fly somewhere.
Amelia becomes the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic.
No, Amelia becomes the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. Should take 20 hours and 40
because
miles.
the first time she didn't fly by herself, did she? The first time she flew on the Friendship with some friends.
Never said it says solo.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, then what happened?
Amelia becomes the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic.
Not yet. That was a few years later. She flew solo across the Atlantic.
Amelia was
I found a couple of
declared.
This one?
No.
Amelia was honored by the president.
No.
Amelia was honored by President
Amelia
Callan
says
and Coolidge
speed
at the
level.
White House.
She's got it. Carter's got it. Next, in 1928, she was honored by President Calvin Coolidge at the White House.
1928.
1928.
1930.
Good.
Amelia becomes the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic.
Not yet. That one is it's coming up.
But Charlotte has a bunch of cars.
Hey, I'm looking at it. It says one card.
I was gonna read them. Give them
Spread it out.
to me.
Leave them out.
Amelia Marries.
Amelia marries. done after completing 2,000 million miles.
She starts something. She starts something.
Just one.
She
What is that? What does it say?
Amelia
What's in it, Jonas?
the warmest flying club, the nursery night.
In
That's
99. She starts the Women's Pilot Club in 1929.
Amelia Maui. 1920.
1929. You were correct.
Amelia Maui's George Portsmouth.
Nope, she does something else first. She's going to set a record. What kind of record does she set?
Amelia sets speed
Lacey.
record 181.18 miles per hour.
I think that's
That was it.
I've got the last one. I've got the last one in my hand. I'm holding the last
Amelia dies.
one. No,
All right, one more.
This one.
That's the last
Amelia
one.
becomes the first woman to fly so across the Atlantic.
Not yet.
Amelia thinks to fly around the world.
Amelia marries George
There you go. 1931, she get married George.
It's kind of hard to get one.
Now,
First woman to fly across the Atlantic.
in 1932,
Amelia becomes the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic.
in 1931.
Very good. She flies solo across the Atlantic in 1932.
President Harper states a beaver with a National Geographic Society scholar.
Yes, in 1932, he also presented
June,
the
in June,
National
in
Geographic Award.
It says in June.
Okay.
Amelia becomes the around the world effort environment after completed. Nope.
Amelia becomes the first person to fly solo across.
1937.
He's got it. She flew from Honolulu, Hawaii to Oakland, California.
Is this one it? Hey, don't stick a butt in my face.
Hey, be nice, please.
This one, that's
And then what did she try to do in 1937?
Trying to fly across the world.
Try to fly across the world.
It's
Very good.
obvious.
And then,
And then she died.
Amelia was obviously declared dead on July 16th.
Yeah.
she was officially declared dead on July 16th.
I know, but
why she-
1937.
How long they not find her yet?
It just happened. She just disappeared.
Well, she's
All right, put it at the very
probably
end down there.
She's probably already
dead.
Now, this is what I want you to do. Let's see.
Probably she died in like the 1990s, probably like the 80s. Probably she died in her 90s. Probably she died in her like her late 90s or early 90s, and nobody knew she was alive.
Right.
Probably she was alive underwater or something.
I want
But she must have split out.
I want you are gonna get. I'm gonna assign you to 3 cards. So, like Carter, you're gonna get. Amelia is born in Atkinson, Kansas. Amelia's sister Muriel is born, and she becomes a nurse's aide. You're gonna take these crayons and these markers, and you're gonna draw a picture of what that might look like. Okay?
I can't. Oh, yeah, this is my webcam because I jammed my phone.
Okay. Well, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect because Miss Lacey can't draw either. Okay.
Where's
This one is
Where's
Atkinson,
Atkinson,
So I'm gonna put crayons and stuff over here.
Kansas?
Just where are you drawing? If she's born, you should draw it.
On like her name.
All right. Let's see.
I can put her and then I can put her on the picture and then I can put her on.
I'm gonna get the
I
last
can
one.
put her, I can put the picture of her baby and then I can put equal.
Born, her sister's born, and she becomes a nurse's aide. Colin, you're doing. She takes her first airplane ride. She takes her first flying lesson. And she flies her
Well,
first
this is a bunch of crayons.
plane. Hey, be nice.
No, it was her cousin.
She called. She said it. I was weird.
All right, you are doing. She gets her pilot's license. She becomes a social worker, and she becomes the first woman to fly across the Atlantic.
Can I do this one first?
Sure.
You know
You were
what
going to
colors her
do.
hair?
Amelia marries George Putnam. Amelia becomes the first woman to fly across the Atlantic solo. And President Hoover giving her the national.
I'm gonna put her red.
Miss Lacey is going to do Amelia in the 99s club, and her setting her speed record, and her getting the award from President Hoover.
I could put like her as a baby with a diaper on.
Which one's Sammy?
Right here.
Right here.
But I don't know how to draw a plane. That's how I don't.
Just try your best. Miss
Okay.
Lacey can't draw very good either.
Well, where'd you put that book? So I can look at it.
The book, oh, it's right there.
This is how I draw. I draw like you like that.
careful not to draw in the book.
Is it very far through the book? So,
Miss Lacey's gonna draw
I'm
through too.
horrible at looking at the blood so far. Try to make the black and the green now looks like a blood.
And now it's her as a baby. You know, this is my butt. Equal born. Huh. That's how Amelia.
That's how I do it. This one's the best I could do for a plane.
That's perfect.
Let me see.
We know that. That's perfect. You're ready to go.
He is so neat. I don't think that's better plane than me. Mine's looks like a clawing egg. How did she become a university in Toronto, Ontario, Canada? How did she go there?
Remember she bought the yellow sports car.
Yeah, that's after.
Oh, you're right. That is right. She bought that car. She probably just rode another car, or maybe took a train.
No, it's a train.
Is it a train? Okay.
Yeah, I found it in the book. I found it.
Amelia blonde.
I think she has brown hair.
But in the book she had
Is it blonde?
Yeah,
You never really can see it.
Fantasy basketball? Wait, wait, and that's a long time ago. Wait, go back.
No, look, she was.
Yeah, but go back a page. Go back a page. Look, and it's Amelia ago you play basketball.
Amelia
It was called basketball because it used baskets.
She's like, I'm Sella.
A long time ago,
Flying solo from Hawaii.
when she was playing basketball.
the shot thing for
She was playing a long time ago. When people played basketball, they don't use nets. They didn't use nets. They used baskets. A long time ago.
What is it?
In a galaxy far, far away.
Amelia becomes a social worker in Boston.
Looks like she has black
A
eyes.
social worker is a person who
In blue.
takes care of kids.
Hello.
Merman.
Can I colloquium real quick?
That's
She
not
has
their song.
what she like to wear blue?
serious.
No, this is what she is.
I'm walking down the beach back.
Okay, so
I'll wear that. Black. I know. This is a time bomb that I have.
is this the one I'm doing? So I go down to this one.
This
We got itty bitty little beach. I ain't afraid of no ghost. SpongeBob SquarePants. Guys, it's SpongeBob SquarePants has an name.
Who else has where she got the National Geographic Award?
What?
Oh, that's what it looks like.
What? What did you say?
Do you have the National Geographic Award, Izzy?
What?
Are you doing the one about the National Geographic Award?
I just messed up on that. Yeah.
She has no clue what she's doing.
I'm not gonna ask her that
Probably.
question.
I need to do
it.
And I'm saying, yay, I have a big sister now.
She's cheering? Is that what she's doing?
Yeah. No, I all the time, I'm just putting, for all the time, I'm just putting people with their arms up.
Look at his
Go ahead. Oh my gosh, that's a freaky looking. Yay, I have a baby sister. Wait, come see. It's probably looking much better than my SpongeBob SquarePants head.
Oh, careful.
Oh,
I'm done.
I just got one.
No, on my three, they're only airplanes. I only have cyclical airplanes.
Oh, you did. You got easy one too. I love how you colored that canary yellow.
She's a baby in her
Is
diaper.
yours showing us when she gets her license?
Yeah, I just got it.
Why did I sign this
Wait
way?
a minute.
What did I sign on my plane?
I
I'm just on your bed.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Mine was easy.
Very good, guys.
What to tell you?
Sorry, I'm going.
One of the purple
I was
ones
saying,
was behind.
look, that kid draws good.
Carla, Izzy, come clean up your markers if you're
I'm not
done.
doing. I need to pay.
Carter's just in the same box as I am.
Okay, that's fine.
Where's the tan? I'm leaving.
Say don't man.
No, not yet. We're not
You
finished.
could say.
Oh, that's our.
This is nice.
What's
All right,
that,
good
Miss
job, guys.
Lacey?
What?
What's that? That door.
Oh, that's the attic.
Where's the attic? Right there in that door. Where's the door?
Oh yeah.